Hello to the, welcome to the presentation about the Runbot. Runbot knows what you broke. First of all, I will present myself. I'm Christophe Monnier. I'm a member of the Runbot team. We are a team of 3 persons. One of them is there and the other one is there. It's a small team. First of all, I will explain why the Runbot exists. At the beginning, Runbot was made to run Odoo instances to test Odoo instances manually. It was born 11 years ago, and it was written by Anthony Le Suisse, our CTO. And now it's still used for the same purpose, to connect on Odoo instances and test it manually, but also for continuous integration alongside with the merge bot, which is another bot made to merge PR on GitHub. But I will not talk about that today. And also to harvest build errors. I will explain what is harvesting build errors later in the presentation. Why not using GitHub Actions? Because GitHub Action didn't already exist at the time when the Runbot was written. Because we are testing across multiple repositories, we have an enterprise repository, we have the Odoo repository, and it's not possible to do that with GitHub Actions. Also, if we run all the tests, so integration test and unit test of the simple test of Odoo, there is 9 hours of tests that are running. So it's a bit long for GitHub Action. We had to do some tricks to reduce the time. And if we run all the testing suite alongside with that, the special test, we have 14 hours in total. So it's not possible to do that with GitHub Actions. And finally, we have non-deterministic failures. It happens all the time, and we have to deal with that. GitHub Action have quota, and if we run all the tests with GitHub Action, we are going to explode the quota, so it was not an option. And also for freedom, because at Odoo we like freedom. What is a Runbot infrastructure? Shortly, it's data-driven first. We have a lot of servers to do the build, because 8 hours of build, it's a big load. And the builds are running in Docker containers. We will explain a bit later about that. Runbot is an Odoo module. It's freely available. You can find it on GitHub. The GitHub repository is there, so you can scan the code, the QR code. And it's split into 4 parts. We have one part, which is the front end. I will show you a lot of screenshots about the front end. We have the leader, which orchestrates the builds across the builders, and we have the builders that are the Runbot that do the actual builds. And we have one Runbot dedicated to build Docker images. So it's a Docker repository. Let me tell a little story, because it's nice to tell story. We were asked to tell stories. This is the story of a branch on Odoo Dev repository with a PR. So here you can see there is a branch that was created with a commit, make it great again, green again, sorry. Someone had the joke. Here you can see there is another PR that was made on the enterprise repository. As I said, it's cross-repository. That's the difficulty. That's one of the difficulty. So what happens then? GitHub is configured to ping Runbot with a webhook, and then the Runbot start to create something. What does it create? It creates a bundle and a batch. It's Runbot vocabulary, and I will explain that on the next things. You have here, it's the bundle, and here in the blue box, this is a batch. So what are the bundles? The bundles, those are branches with the same name across the repositories. For example, here you see the branch 19 but across Odoo repositories, enterprise, design time, documentation. They are all bundled in a same object, in a bundle. It includes pull requests too. And here you have the star. The star means that this bundle is sticky. Sticky means it's an Odoo branch, stable branch, that we are supporting too. What is a batch? Here you can see a batch. It's a set of commits that are tested together, and also a set of builds. Here are the builds, and here are the commits. There is a color code on the front end, so if it's green, it means all right, everything is okay. If it's red, something is wrong, you have an error somewhere. If it's yellow, a warning, and so on. Here is an example of the current main page of the Runbot. It's on the front end, and as you can see, by default, you see all the bundles of the stable branches. And then you see the last 4 batches of those bundles. And the page is runbotodoo.com if you want to try it. Then what happens to our PR, our branch? So the Runbot creates a bundle and a batch, as I already said. And then the magic happens. The Runbot fills the missing commits. What are the missing commits? Those are the best commits in the other repositories that will match with the current commits that you pushed. So this choice is made by the Runbot, and it's chosen because we want to test with those commits, with those repositories. And then the Runbot creates the builds. Here are the builds, the fresh builds that were created on the Runbot. Then you have the bundle page. Here on the bundle page, you have the details of the bundle. You can see the list of the linked branches here. And just beyond, you see the list of batches. And those are red on this page. The batch page gives you details about a batch which is a set of builds. And you see, for example, here, you have an important information that says your commit here is 62 commits behind the base branch. So in this case, behind the 19 branch, this commit is 62 behind. It's a good thing to know. Here you have little buttons, as I said at the beginning, just to connect to the Odoo instance that is running behind the builds. For example, this one is the enterprise run, so you can connect on the enterprise build of this particular branch and test it manually. So those builds are very fast, so you have very quickly an Odoo instance which is running and that you can test. Here you have a red build. This build is the enterprise test, so the 9 hours of test, but you will see that it will not take 9 hours. And you can see that it is red, so there is a problem with this test. Now, what do we test? First, I will not detail all the tests because it's very, very long. Here you have the first one, which is minimal check. Minimal check, we will test some basic things. For example, is the commit well formatted? If it's not the case, the test will not start. Why? Because we don't want to have too much load on the Runbot when it's not necessary. So if the build is not yet ready to be, if the commit is not yet ready to be tested, we don't want that. Here you have the two ones that are community run and enterprise run. Those are fast build to have Odoo instances running very fast, as I already said. The enterprise test, I already said, the 9 hour of test. And there you have this one, for example, which is the upgrade to current that will test the upgrade to. We want the upgrade script to be tested too. And the other ones are small and quick tests. For example, the check style, check security are very fast tests that we check basic things about security, about the style of the code. Then what happens? Runbot creates some builds. For example, here, the community run. And when a builder, a Runbot builder, so a host, which have free slots, when it detects that there are builds to create, a builder catch the build and say, okay, I will start the build. And those builds are split into steps. So we have different type of steps on a build, possible steps. And most of the time, those builds are going to be run in containers. Here you can see the container is Docker master. And if you click on this link, you will arrive on this page which is a summary of the metadata of the Docker file. For example, you can see which Chrome version is used to test, which Python version is used to test, what are the packages that are installed, and things like that. The containers are built on a separate server, and they are pulled each time that there is a build. It will pull the container, the image, sorry, before starting the build. It's a Docker file object on the Runbot. As I said, the Runbot itself is an Odoo module, and the Docker file is just a Docker object in the module. So we can write our Docker files and have things that are really custom for us. The raw file is available. You can see here there is a link. You can click on it and have the raw Docker file. That way, you can even build the Docker file for yourself at home on your computer. The goal of those Docker files are to stay as close as possible as the SaaS environment. So that way we can ensure that the Odoo will run properly on the SaaS environment. Then what happens? We have other kind of build steps. Those ones are made to create sub-builds. So here on the left you can see there is the parent build, and it decided to create some sub-builds. The idea behind that is to save load on the Runbot host. Because, for example, here you can see the 9 hours of builds are split into some builds. Here in red, you see the tests that are run at the installation of the Odoo modules. And in green, we splitted the post-install test, the tests that are started after the installation of the modules. And we are able to split those builds into sub-builds. How does it work? First, we create a build that installs a database with all the modules installed. And then the sub-build will download the database, restore it, and then start the test, the post-test of those databases. Now, here is the core of the presentation, finally. On the build page, you have the details of what happens during the build. You can see the steps, and you can see the most important log information. Those information, those logs, are not the full logs. The full logs are text files, and you can get the full logs by clicking on the small link here. And then you can inspect the full logs. You can even see the command line that was used to start the build. But most of the time, you are not interested by that. You just want to see that everything goes okay with your build. But sometimes it happens that it fails. If you see this error is already known, it means that the Runbot already knows this error. How does it come that it can know the error? It's because during the night, we have a cron that starts special builds just to catch errors. What kind of error? For example, for randomness, we are running multi-builds. Those multi-builds are the same build that we build 25 times, for example. And if one of them is red, if one of them have an error, we consider this error as a random error, undeterministic. Also, we have, for example, I will not list all the tests that we have in the nightly build, but we have, for example, the single app test build. What is that? We test a single application installed, and then we launch the test of this application and its dependencies. And if it's red, we have a problem. It means that this application does not work for an unknown reason because it's installed alone. So we have to find out what happened. Also, we have the fake time builds. We are very proud of that one. It's a little new one. What do we test? We test builds in the future. So we modify the time of the system where the builds happen, and we test some special cases of dates and things like that, and we discover broken builds with that. Once this cron is done, the failures are analyzed by the Runbot, and the Runbot creates, here you see the backend. In the backend, it creates a Runbot error. You have the details of the error. Here, for example, you can see the error exactly, and when it was first seen and when it was last seen. Those are important information to debug and to find the cause of the error. And this error is stored in the Runbot DB. We also try to parse the errors and to find metadata. We call that qualifiers. For example, we can catch the module name, the path of the file that was broken, the test class, the test method, and so on. Once it's done, we have another form in the backend just to try to figure out what happens and to try to find people to fix those errors, because we have a lot of them. The first thing that we do, we try to identify what caused the error for the first time. So we try to find a pull request that made this error happen. Sometimes we don't find, but most of the time we find it. Once we find it, we try to assign this error to some people in a team, and we want him to start to fix the issue. Then we can find the guy that tried to fix the error, give us the pull request that fixed the error, and then we can check that this pull request is fixing the error properly. For example, here we have a graph, and on this graph we can see all the nightly builds that were broken. Those are the red squares. And if you have the little checkbox here, says, okay, the pull request was merged at this moment. And if there is no red square, it means that it's probably the good fix. When it's done, we verify that the error doesn't happen again. And finally, with 2 minutes in advance, my final slide, we have the possibility to disable a test with the Runbot, and it happens all the time. When a test fails too much and become very annoying for other developers, we decide to disable the test on the Runbot. And as you can see, we can disable it per version. We can say this minimal version is 19, maximal version master. So all the version between 19 and master will have this particular test disabled. That way, the other developers are not annoyed and are able to merge PR without being annoyed. And we will try to fix this test as soon as possible. And the Runbot can do more. but I will not talk in detail about that. If you want, you can come after the presentation at the developer stand, and we will answer your questions. So we have the custom trigger configuration, so we can configure a particular build to do something custom, special, for example, multi-build. So if a developer comes to us and asks, I want a multi-build to solve an issue, we can configure the Runbot to do a multi-build for him. We have automatic multi-builds on fixing a pull request. And we test not only Odoo, but other projects. For example, Odoo LS. The Runbot itself is tested on Runbot. And we have a lot of other projects like that. So now, question time. Thank you. Pas de question? Oh, there is no question, so thank you.
Just one. No.
One question.
Will be the GitHub supported in the future? The GitLab supported?
GitLab supported. It's possible. It's possible, but it's not in the plan yet. But we made everything to make it possible to switch from GitHub to GitLab very quickly, if possible.
Can we? It's being a moduc. Can we use it in our instance as clients or partners?
Sure, you can use a Runbot for yourself, for your partners, for your client, but you have to configure it by yourself, and it's not really easy to deploy. There is a README page that explains how to deploy the Runbot. We have to improve that. It's not our core business to do that, but we try as much as possible to have something easy to deploy, but it's not yet the case. So if you want to deploy it, you can come and ask questions if you want.
So there is a long question, and you can see that someone is already replied to this question, but I will skip it, and then we will come back to it. Is the initial setup easy or not for a certain on-premise project?
Yes, as I said, it's not really easy to install, but yes, you can use it for on-premise.
Okay. Will the advanced views be available on Odoo SH at some point?
No, there is no link between Runbot and Odoo SH at all.
If, for example, can I get the full text logs in Odoo SH, which has proved to be quite important, I have to mail Odoo to get them then. On Odoo SH, can you connect to the shell to get up to the phone?
As I said, Runbot has no connection with Odoo SH, and I'm not a specialist of Odoo SH, so I don't know. I'm astonished that you don't have access to the log, but you have to go to the Odoo SH stand and ask them if it's possible for you. I'm sorry, the Runbot has nothing to do with Odoo SH. It seems the same, but it's not the same.
Are you going to release the security tool you have?
No, absolutely not. It's not really security tools. Those are custom configuration to scan for known vulnerabilities, but we don't want to share that. Those are, well, yes, we will not do that.
Okay, so last question.
But you can do it by yourself. You can create a custom build and have your custom rules to find vulnerabilities.
Will Runbot ever be connected to Odoo and its tasks?
We discussed of that already, but it's not yet done. But why not in the future have a link between the task on the Odoo instance and the Runbot? I suppose that the one that asked that is for having a quick link between the errors and the task. Create a task quickly when an error is found or something like that.
I think it's all. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much.